Hey guys, welcome to Cult Fiction. We have been off the air for a couple of weeks, and it's entirely my fault because my computer shit the bed and I had to get a whole new
Boo,
setup. So,
boo,
that's probably
boo this
why
man.
I look so weird. It's kind of dark in here. Anyway, so we're going to be talking tonight about The Penguin, which wrapped up recently. Joe and I actually have just finished it tonight. Minutes ago, we just finished it. So I'm pretty excited actually to talk about it. Since you actually finished a little bit later than I did, Joe, by a few minutes, you can kick us off, and then I'll go and we'll go around the table. What do you say?
Sure, man. I mean, Eric, you finished today, right? Or did you finish last night?
I finished last night.
Okay.
I finished
Uh,
yesterday.
so we all kind of finished pretty close together. With the show, the finale was 2 days ago.
How I
Man,
like to do it. Finish around the same.
all at once in a circle.
That's right.
I mean, I'm sure we're all going to echo the same sentiments here. It was a damn good show. I mean, give it all the Emmys, just all of them, every single one of them. Um, how do you take I said before, when we first talked about this show, I really like what they're trying to do by giving a little bit of weight to these characters that didn't necessarily have an in-depth background story. Um, because we learn all about the heroes all the time. All the time. How many times have we seen a Spider-Man, a Superman origin story, or a Batman origin story? It's been a million times.
A lot of times.
So it's super cool that they're giving these other characters and they're putting together these background stories that are intriguing and enjoyable, and even more, not just the Penguin. I mean, you can see them in trying to do it with the Joker and other characters too, and it's great. But this show, man, this show is just on a whole different level. And like just getting done watching it a few minutes ago, I'm still processing so many things in my head about it. And god damn, what a piece of shit the Penguin is. Just, just an absolute, like, fuck that guy every possible fucking way. There's just nothing nothing good about that fucking person, like at all. Not one redeeming fucking quality. Just the biggest pile of shit. They took one of the biggest three probably villains from Batman, if you grew up watching the old cartoons and stuff like that. And of course, you got Danny DeVito's Penguin and stuff. You know, he was a name when it came to Batman, but he was kind of a throwaway bad guy. Like, who is this fucking little, half a man, whatever, joke of a bad guy, and just made him I gotta hate him. I just fucking hate him. He is evil through and through. They made him the most menacing, diabolical, disgusting, evil piece of shit character I have fucking ever witnessed on screen. Like, I wanted him to fucking die. I wanted him to fucking die so badly in that show, dude. And I just knew he wasn't going to. I knew he wasn't going to.
Right.
He's a fucking weasel and just worthless.
You're taking this like really personally.
Dude, but it was so good. Like, you hate it for all the right reasons.
Watched it a half an hour. Finished
Yeah.
it like a half an hour.
Oh, dude, you hate, like, I hate everything about it for all the right reasons. It did such a good job at just making me hate everything about it. And it's like, but in such a good way. Like, just hats off to the actors, hats off to the crew, hats off to the writers, just everybody involved in that. They brought out all the emotions necessary for that show, in my opinion, and fucking nail. And then we can circle back around to this after everybody's had a chance. But dude, the ending, and I'm not even talking about Vic, the ending with the hooker was
Right.
fucking
So
gross.
actually that's a good idea. Let's do this. Let's go around the table and let's give our opinion and then we'll go around one more time and we'll talk about maybe the ending and maybe what we would have changed.
Sure.
Because I will say this, I didn't love it as much as you, clearly. I'm not ready to give it every Emmy. But part of that is the bastard's dilemma, which we talked about last time, right? Which is that when you have characters that you don't give a crap about, it's real hard to give a crap about them. You know what I'm saying? There was nobody in the show that I cared about. And that's a problem. Like that's a really big problem with a show like this. Now, I will be the first one to say Colin Farrell, give it to him, right? Give him the Emmy, like the Penguin Walk, his little waddle that he did. Like I can't even imagine what kind of knee surgery he's gonna have to get
Yeah.
after
He's
doing
stuck like that
this
for life
show,
now.
right? Yeah, like he's
Life.
actually gonna walk like that now. He did a phenomenal job. The girl that played Sophie, she was I thought, did a great job. Every bit as menacing as he was. Um, wasn't real thrilled with anybody else. It was basically just the two of them, right? Um, I thought the show really changed after episode 3. You started the first 3 episodes, you had him kind of playing both sides and convincing everybody that he was on their side and going back and forth, and there was all this intrigue and all this stuff. But then like 4, 5, 6, 7, it's just very clear that everybody's against him. You know what I mean? And I liked the rebellion of the lieutenants at the end, right? That was cool. That was a good way to wrap it up. But I feel like they could have, or maybe they should have, like kept that intrigue. You know what I'm talking about? Like where he's like, you're not sure if they're on to him or they're not. Like they just made him like the enemy of everyone like 3 episodes too soon, I think. Um, but that said, the writing was great. The acting, those two the main characters did a great job, I thought. It's just it's tough for me to connect. I will just say this about the end. We'll talk about the weirdness of the ending and other stuff when we go back around. But I will say that the bat signal at the end was a nice touch. That was a really, really nice touch.
Yeah.
Uh, Eric, what's your take on it?
Um, I was gonna have a problem with, I think I told Alex last night. I feel like Sophia was the good guy. Like at the end of the day, once you find out that she is not the killer, then it's okay to root for her.
Was that before or
You
after
know,
she shoots the dude in the head at the dining room table?
Oh,
I mean,
were you sad?
I
Yeah.
just,
were you sad?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just
The
saying.
guy
I'm just
who,
saying.
the guy who sold her out so she could be like abused for 10 years while she did nothing wrong. I mean, that guy was garbage.
She did nothing. I
So
mean, okay. I get you. I get you.
that's
I get you.
like literally they turned her into that. I mean, again, it's like if the thing is if you can root for John Wick, you can root for her.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like John Wick killed 470 people.
Yeah, but nobody
in
killed her
his,
dog. Nobody killed her dog, bro.
yeah, they just
Well,
put
they
her,
just locked her
they,
up for 10 years for
Yeah.
something she
they
didn't
just locked her
do.
up
But her
in
dog was alive.
where she was abused and probably sexually assaulted constantly.
Sure.
And by the way, done like completely betrayed by her own family. Her father did it. Found out that her father killed her mother. Blah blah blah. And then to have your whole family
Sell you
write
out.
letters
Right. Right.
to sell you out. It's like
Maybe, but maybe, but maybe going to your like ultimate gangster dad and telling him that he killed his wife. Maybe not the best
well,
plan,
I mean,
right?
I don't know, dude. I think maybe
Yeah, so lock her up for 10 years.
I get
yeah,
it. I get it.
know.
I get it. I'm not going to die on this hill. I'm not going to die on this
Yeah,
hill.
yeah. Out of the hill. I think there's something where like it's kind of. I'll even believe the Penguin when he says, "I had no idea he was going to do that to you." Like that was some dastardly shit
Hmm.
that her dad. Like I don't think the Penguin knew he was going to do that. I think the Penguin was like thought that he would hey, like, good looking out. Here's a little bonus for you. Good to know that I can trust you, blah, 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 blah. You're on my radar now.
Right.
I don't think he thought for a second he was going to be like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm gonna send my daughter away to Arkham for 10, whatever.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
I
yeah,
get
one
it.
of the
I get
one of
it.
the only moments in the entire show where you actually saw some emotion was when he was talking about that to her. Like, remember, it was like episode 4 or 3 or 4.
Right.
It was like the only time we actually saw him start to actually tear up a little bit. That's
When
when
he
he
actually
talked about,
apologized
how
to
do you
her,
expect
yeah.
that to happen?
Right.
Because he was genuinely surprised when he was taking her home, and the cops pulled them over.
Right. Right.
And they started arresting her. He's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I did not know all this shit was gonna happen. What the,
No, I get it.
And
I get it. I would just say the one thing that I would change is somehow because she murdered her whole family, right? And I get it. They all ratted her out. They all fucking lied about her, whatever. Which is a shitty thing to do, but it's probably shittier
Right.
to murder them. But whatever.
no, it is. But
If they could have somehow connected like the family members and Vidi to her brother's death, right? That like they knew that it was going to happen or something like that. I don't know how they would do that because of the way her brother was killed, but somehow, you know, make them at least in her mind like partially responsible for her brother's death, and then she's an avenging angel, right? But
right.
Nah, dude, it's fun. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
okay with it.
I might be overthinking it. I don't
I
know.
think
Yeah.
I think what it does though is
I-
it does a really good job of showing how Arkham Asylum can also create some of the villains that we've seen in the Batman universe.
Hmm.
Arkham is not supposed to be a country club. Arkham is supposed to
Right.
be the worst place on earth to be. And so I
Right.
think putting somebody who's completely innocent in Arkham and then showing how being in Arkham can create this type of villain really shows the depth of Arkham Asylum.
Like completely innocent. Her dad wanted her to run the crime family.
But she wasn't doing anything wrong at that point.
Mm, is that why he chose her to run the crime family?
I mean, we know what we know from the show.
Okay.
We know
All right.
we know what we're showed
yeah.
on the show. We know what we're told.
I'm stuck in my bastard's
I
dilemma.
think you're getting hung up on like you want this show to be the bastard's dilemma, but this chick was somebody like at some point she was arguably somebody to root for, which makes Penguin that much worse.
Hmm.
She's
I get
just
that.
another.
I get that, and I get that. I get that she has like redeeming. There are redeeming things about her. I get that.
Right. Well, I think there was, and I'm not even sure that they're redeeming things about her. I think there was redeeming things about her.
Right.
Is that's the thing is she was the reason if he wanted her to run the crime family is because she was like infinitely more intelligent than her brother.
Hmm.
Her brother was a fuck up.
Right. Right.
So but she was probably still kind-hearted, and she was still like, sweet. She was doing stuff for charities and stuff like that. She hadn't been turned completely by him yet. But what he did know was that she was way smarter than her brother.
That's
And
that's true. That's true. Let's
he
get
probably just had- anyway.
Alex in. Let's get Alex in, and then we'll go around again.
yeah, I mean, like everybody else, when it was over, I just, wow, this Penguin guy is a real jerk. I mean that. I don't want to just give it nothing but praise because it was probably going to be one of the best shows of 2024. There were some problems that I had with it. Like too many times he was like tied up or like at the mercy of his enemies, and he just through some sort of happenstance that manifests itself, he's able to get away.
I mean, the last one he just literally broke out of his restraints and started
right
shooting.
when the chair, like I can even, what got me, even the chair when he tied to the chair and he breaks out, whatever, fine. But like when Clancy Brown and his crew go down to his lair and they get fooled by the turn out the lights trick, like come on, show, like fuck you, like that's all they got to do to Clancy Brown is turn out the lights.
And then he has a heart attack. What kind of bullshit was that?
And then the whole thing was like the psychiatrist in Arkham Asylum that gets like obsessed with her and everything and start to be her boyfriend or something. That was a little random. I didn't quite buy it.
Like, are we real? Are we sure he's real?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know what his.
Yeah, he's real because he got the secrets out of his mom.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Is he a character that I don't know about? Like, is he going to turn into somebody? Because I feel like he was just
But
an
I'm sure potentially, like,
I don't know.
but I mean, like overall, though, I mean, the show was very good, and it's
Yeah,
like I don't watch an immense amount of TV, but offhand, I can't think of anything else that I enjoyed more in 2024. Yet, there's still a couple of months left. I might be forgetting something, but all in all, I mean, it was superbly done show, and it's like everybody's going to talk about Colin Farrell and his performance.
Yeah.
But the actress who plays Sophia, I forget her first name, was Milioti, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, she was superb. I mean, she was like just as good.
Yeah.
Just as good as Farrell. And without her and her performance, even with Colin Farrell's performance, without her being as good as she was, the show would not have even been half as good as it was.
I agree with that.
Yeah. And of course,
Kristen Milioti.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even more Clancy Brown is still not enough Clancy Brown.
Always need more.
I will say, I would agree that like having 8 episodes and 4 situations where he was basically,
tied to a chair.
Right. Yeah, tied to a chair or like
held at gunpoint.
Yeah, just like he's done and then gets out of it. I think that's too many. That was too many. And so
unless he had a plan, unless he's like they're gonna capture me, I know they're gonna capture me or something, or I'm gonna let them think they've got me or something.
The first one was good because that was his plan.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was the second one and I think the fourth one, which was basically I ripped out of my restraints and then Vic came by, like ran over everybody.
Right.
It's just man,
lucky.
that's timing.
Sure is lucky.
That was pretty contrived. And that was one of the biggest things. I was like watching it, like rolling my eyes at times.
So enjoyed it.
And it's like I feel like with the obvious creative talent that they have with the show, they could have done something better than any of those things.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, I mean, the last one where he's tied to the chair and he's got the washcloth in his mouth, he could reach the washcloth.
Yeah.
Like
or just spit it out. It's like just
he almost did reach the washcloth the first time he leaned forward. And I'm like, that's not, give me a fucking break here. But taking that kind of stuff into consideration, like what you guys are saying, still phenomenal.
I agree.
Every show or movie, I'm gonna give you 1 or 2 of those. Like I said, I enjoyed Dune 2, but they put a weapons depot in the side of a mountain and
nobody noticed.
And
nobody saw any drills or anything. It's like, oh, this is where they hit them, in a mountain.
Yeah. Like
I'll give it to you.
Okay.
I'll give it to you because it was good. Okay, so let's go around the table and talk about this weird fucking ending. Because damn.
So the foreshadowing when Sophia goes to her apartment and she's looking at the different costumes this woman has, and she says, do you and she's looking at the wigs specifically, and she says, do you wear these for your clients or do you wear them for you? And she says a bit of both. And then in the end, she's dressed up like Penguin's mom from the night Penguin was supposed to get killed, including the hair. So it was gross for every reason you can think of. But like, I mean, she even had his mom's hair.
Yeah.
And like killing Vic was like, maybe I didn't want to see it coming. I don't know. I was kind of trying to live in the moment with the show quite a bit.
You broke the bro code.
Right.
And I feel like maybe earlier in the season, I kind of thought, Vic was done for when he decided not to get on the bus. I'm like, he's done. He's going to die somehow in this show. And then it was right before Penguin killed him. I'm like, oh, Penguin's going to kill him. And then it happened. And like, that was like, wow, it got Caitlin gasped when she was watching it. And I was like, I was still shocked by it, even though I expected it seconds before it happened. It's not like I was fully prepared for it. And it still caught me off guard, especially the way that he did it was like really, really intimate.
Yeah.
And set it up to look like a mugging and to throw away the ID, everything else. Like, wow, that was a really good moment for the show. But dude, his mom,
Mm.
crying in a vegetative state because she wanted to die before she got there, and he let her get there anyway, and he's happy that he's keeping her alive. And then he's got his hooker dressed up like his mom. Skeevy, dude. It was just
Yeah.
Because I kind
Yeah.
of thought at that, I forget exactly what he said when she was in the chair, but she's looking out the window. She's like crying and stuff, and he said something like, yeah,
It's
I know
like
it's your dream come true, or
it's
something like
everything.
everything
He
that.
said
everything
everything
you
he
wanted.
wanted.
It's
Right,
everything you
yeah,
wanted.
everything on it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think in his mind, he's not the bad guy. Like
Right.
he can justify everything. Like the world is against him. He's just reacting in his to him. Like
Yeah.
in his story,
So what
he's a
would
survivor.
what would you have changed, Joe, if anything?
Nothing. It was nice. Everything was wrong in the right way, dude.
Hmm?
Everything
Huh?
was wrong in the right way. But that's what I'm saying. It was skeevy. It was gross. It made me. That was like I didn't like the Penguin for all the right reasons through this entire show because he plays both sides. He's a fucking weasel. He's got no loyalty to anybody but himself. And finding out that he murdered his own brothers, in episode 4 or whatever. I thought they died in the floods from the Riddler,
Right.
like
Right.
Vic's floods. Finding out he killed his own brothers and all this stuff. Like he's the worst, man. There's nothing again, there's nothing redeemable about this guy. He's
Right.
resilient. That's about it. And I can say he's smart because even when shit doesn't go his way, uh, he kind of just shrugs it off and is like, well, how else can I use this in my advantage then? I
Yeah.
didn't plan for this to happen, but we're gonna roll it this way. So I get, he's got those traits going on as a villain, and that's awesome. But no, I wouldn't have changed the ending. Matter of fact, it was such a curveball that it added more hatred onto what I thought was an insurmountable amount of hatred towards that person.
Well, I get that, but I think that murdering Vic did enough, and I really do feel like it was overboard. I feel like it was too much, right? At least like okay, have your mom in the hospital bed, right? But then to fetishize the relationship is just for me it's like a step too far. It's like now he's cutting people's face off and putting him on, like he's a serial killer now. Like that's just weird, right? It's like he's a Batman villain. He's not Buffalo Bill. You know what I'm saying? Like it's I feel like it was too much, but it was creepy and weird and evil and maybe in my opinion maybe a bridge too far. The only other thing that I would have changed beyond that is the doctor. I really I feel like we spent a lot of time with that guy and for no real reason.
Did he
Um,
possibly become Scarecrow? Is that possible?
maybe that I was thinking maybe, but then Scarecrow has a different name. I forget Scarecrow's name, but it's
Crane, Jonathan
Crane,
Crane.
Oh,
right?
Crane.
I
So
suppose so. I mean, plot wise, he's the guy that got the secret out of her Penguin's mom, so they found out how he killed the brothers.
okay, all right, well, okay, so maybe you needed
But
him in there
maybe
then.
you could have done something else though, because like the whole relationship with him and Sophia is just like I'm not buying any of it at all.
And
It was
and it's not necessary, and it doesn't enhance her character. It
it
actually
was
makes her
very it
seem
was
more petty and weird.
it seemed like it was very Harlequin and the Joker is from the psychiatrist
Right.
point
Like
of
Yeah,
like an
view.
yeah.
inversion, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. What about you, Eric? What did you think of the end and what would you change?
I thought that he was going to kill the hooker at the end.
Hmm.
I thought that he was that he had her over because he had figured out that she was the one who spilled his location at Crown Point, and that she was just like, "Oh, look at me," blah blah blah, and they were gonna dance, and he was just gonna stick a knife in her
Hmm.
and say, I know you're the one that sold me out to Sophia and stuff like that, and then just put a nice little bow on it or whatever. But
Right.
that's what I thought was going to happen. So I don't know if I would change it to that, because then I wouldn't have been surprised, right? It would have been what I thought it was. But I also think that it's a little bit inconsistent then by leaving her alive, because if Vic had to die because he is somebody that can be used against you, well, but now this hooker is essentially a surrogate for your mother now, like for your mother, and she's betrayed you already. You know, like if I had to pick between the two, I'm keeping Vic and I'm choking her to death. I mean, you know.
Right. And they could have solved that real quickly by just having him tell her to let Sophia know where he is, right?
Right.
It was like he wanted her to know where he was or something. But yeah, I get that. Alex, what do you think? The ending and anything you would change?
I mean, it was a little weird. Yeah. I mean, I like the fact that, like, psychologically, he was like a complete villain. You know, it's like he had all these factors that made him who he was, as opposed to just, yeah, he had a bad day once and became a super villain. You know,
Right.
like, which, you know, typically what happens, or like they fall into, you know, a vat of paint and electricity
Right.
and become, you know, fucking paint man or something. But so, yeah, it was weird and it was uncomfortable, but it's just sort of like it fits too, you know. I mean, as far as the character that he was and the character they created, I mean, it makes a certain amount of sense
Sure.
that it happens. And as far as, you know, I don't know if it necessarily added to the ending. Like if it wasn't there, that extra step, I don't think it would be a worse show. But I don't think it's also any worse by having it. So I think that overall, they pretty much landed the ending. You know, they stuck the landing for it because the whole idea is they want you to, when the show is over, to hate him.
Right.
You know,
Right.
because he is a Batman villain, and they
Right.
want you to not like him and want him to get, you know, a batarang in his eye. That's the whole point. That's the whole point that they did with the show, and they succeeded. So
Yeah.
it's just sort of like, you know, I wound up at the place that they wanted me to be at. So I'm just kind of like, you know.
Fair enough.
I think
It's funny because I've recently, Jubal knows this, I've recently watched like 9 seasons of Dexter in like the last month and a half, you know, the 8 seasons and then the 1 season of the new one. So I felt like, you know, because now I'm an expert on psychopaths.
Right.
Because that shit's a documentary, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
But
it's like Law and Order makes you a lawyer.
Right.
Yeah.
But you start to see, or you think you see, like some similarities, and I wonder if, you know, he was always a psychopath, you know, like willing to let your brothers drown so that you know you could have more time with your mother, like to have zero connection with your brothers.
Mm-hmm.
That's some twisted shit,
Yeah.
you know, and just to have no remorse for like anything that he does, like at the drop of a hat. When he sets Clancy Brown's, you know, wife on fire, he almost giggled almost.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like,
yeah, he's pretty happy with himself. Yeah,
he was pretty happy with himself, you know what I mean? And so this is not just like a normal, like a crime boss. He is like Clancy Brown's character is a crime boss.
Sure.
Like that boss. He's doing the leader of the triad is a crime boss, right? Penguin seems to be kind of like, yeah, he's a psychopath. Like, I don't know if that's the exact term or if he's a variation of that or whatever, because, you know, though, you know, my degree hasn't come in from the mail yet. My Dexter hasn't come in the mail yet. But he's pretty proud of himself when he burns people alive, and like I said, to have no remorse, even with the Vic thing, like
right,
to choke him to death and then make it look like a mugging, like you said, and just kind of walk off.
That's why I'm saying, like, I feel like he was evil enough without the Buffalo Bill shit. You know what I mean? Like,
I almost wonder if the Buffalo Bill shit is more like he really hit his breaking point. Like he was on the verge of cracking, and that was us seeing him completely crack.
Mm.
Like now we're gonna get this supersized megalomaniac that we're kind of familiar with. And now and what we got here was what the buildup was to him becoming this nut job bad guy, opposed to just being
Yeah,
a
because
I think that's a problem. I think that's probably Mark. If I were to watch it again, you know, I think I'd probably see it that way because he is, you know, for most of the episodes, he wants to take care of his mom, but you want her to be safe. You want other people to be safe. So I think you're probably onto something. But the idea is that, yeah, he just that was the last straw for him with her, telling him that he was a piece of shit that she never loved. That was it.
Exactly. So throwing my Dexter PhD out again, it seems like what they do in these shows to give some humanity to my PC's running low. Dick. To give some humanity to these characters is they I have the board. They give them like one person that can like that the psychopath seems to be wrapped up in.
That grounds them, right?
That grounds them. With Dexter, it was Deb. You know, like he would never let anything happen to Deb. That was like his thing. And if anything did happen to Deb, that would be his breaking point. And with Penguin, it seems to be his mom. Mm-hmm. And if anything happened with his mom, that was clearly his breaking point. You know, so I don't know if that's real life. I don't know if that's what happens in real life. But in the Hollywood version of what psychopaths do,
right,
that's to humanize them is to give that one person that they just can't live without.
Sure.
And all that.
That's what triggers them.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so even with all that said, and even with all my caveats and with the Bastard's Dilemma and everything, I will still acknowledge that this really was a great show. I would give it enthusiastically an enthusiastic thumbs up for anybody who is thinking about watching it.
One of the best shows I've seen in a while, man, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm struggling to think of something from 2024 that's better as far as the season of television.
Yeah, I think it was the best of 24 for sure.
What did we kick off this year with? The end of True Detective, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm 3 episodes into the new season of Lioness, so I'm gonna end 2024 with a bang because Lioness is dope as shit, So
I'm 3 episodes into,
and that's a wild ride.
I'm 3 episodes into season 2 of Arcane, which I am really enjoying. So they're thing about Arcane, what they did was they're breaking it up into over 3 weeks. They're releasing 3 episodes every Sunday for the next 3 weeks.
Okay.
So, but there's 3 episodes out right now that you can watch. Next Sunday, 3 more, and then 3 more. But so far, it's man, that show is fantastic. I gotta say, the art direction on that show, the story, like everything about that show, I really like it. What about you, Joe and Alex? You guys watching anything else? Just a real quick plug.
I just wrapped up, like I said, I wrapped up Tulsa King. We wrapped up Vox Machina, and wrapped up Penguin. You're talking about animation, dude. Vox Machina this season, I feel like they really stepped up season 3.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of fun show. And there's a couple sequences in it that that blew me away animation wise. Absolutely.
I gotta get that. I gotta get caught up on that. If you haven't seen Arcane, Joe, you should check it out. What about you, Alex?
I watched Hysteria. That was pretty fun.
Oh yeah, with Bruce Campbell, right? Yeah. I want to check that out. Cool.
Doesn't really stick the landing, but overall, I mean,
worth watching.
Sure. I mean, if you were to see the preview and go, hey, I'm gonna check that out, you'll probably enjoy it.
Okay, fair enough. All right, that'll do it. Wait, Eric's got one more.
I was gonna say I watched Venom 3 with my son at the theater, and then that night when everybody went to bed, I was scrolling through YouTube on the PlayStation or whatever, and in my YouTube feed, somebody had put a very good copy of Venom 3 on YouTube, and I ended up watching it again like that night.
Wow.
The whole movie, and it wasn't like they recorded it from the theater. Like it was the movie, you know. And I was
Somebody's
like, they
going
just
to
stuck
jail.
that. So,
Yeah. Hmm.
oh, and I got a couple things for the collection.
Oh, you did? All right, let's see it.
This all came in the other day. I got first thing is this is Shang-Chi from Shang-Chi.
Hmm.
So Hot Toy Shang-Chi.
We don't even get to see it? Man,
Not yet. I haven't
that's
seen it
dirty.
yet. Yeah. This is Wenwu from Shang-Chi. Hot Toys.
Just the box. You're showing us boxes, Eric.
Yeah. Next time they'll be open.
Next time they'll be open and we can actually see what is in the box.
And then this is from, let's see, it says The Mandalorian Season 2 Dark Trooper. So this is one of the Dark Troopers that like, well, I don't, so-and-so fights. I don't want to ruin it for anybody who hasn't fought. But yeah, they, Sideshow had a promotion going, basically was like a free Dark Trooper. They're like $265, right?
Wow.
So yeah, free Dark Trooper if you buy $250 of in stock stuff. I was like, yes, please. So I've been eye humping Wenwu and Shang-Chi forever, and they're like $250 a piece, but they were also 30% off each, right? So they ended up being like $170 a piece. And then I had like $70 in rewards. So I got like $765 worth of shit for under $300.
So somebody at Sideshow was like, why
Sold,
do we
sold,
have an
sold.
entire warehouse full of Dark Troopers? Why do we have a whole warehouse full of shit?
That's basically what they did.
I'm
That's
not
basically
convinced
what
it's actually a Dark Trooper until like you open the box and you show me what's in there.
It's a box of penis.
It's like a box of haha jokes on you cards.
Just a bunch of
No.
spring snakes pop out.
Next time I want to get a look at those actual figures though.
Okay.
All right, let's call it. Take it easy, everybody. See you next week.